And welcome once again to another exciting edition of the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. It is Monday. How is everybody doing? I hope you had a great weekend. Don't forget, we do this every Monday and Wednesday night, 5 o'clock Eastern on Facebook and on YouTube. You can also catch a replay of the show on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. Well, the past couple of weeks, I've had some incredible guests. The guest lineup continues to be great as Michael Long Jr. will be my next guest. He will be on the show on Wednesday. And then I've got GBB Sports anchor Matt Stewart next week as we get ready to talk Little League Baseball. And I'm so excited about this show. Just got back from vacation. But while I was on vacation, we had some big news stories that broke, including LeBron going to the Sixers. Everybody and their mom has an opinion on that, and I'm going to share my opinion with you because I've witnessed this before when he went to the Miami Heat. Little bit different scenario. And how about the city of Columbus and Phenix City as they're both represented in the Southeast Regional Tournament for the trip to possibly go to Williamsport as Phenix City and American Little League both in the Southeast Region Tournament. Going to talk Clean Stones. They got a big 12-game series. Yeah, I'm saying 12 games because they got a 6-game series against Rocket City this week and then a 6-game series against the Biloxi Shuckers next week. Took one on the chin, losing 5 out of 6 against the Pensacola Blue Wahoos. But the Clean Stones are back in action tomorrow at Synovus Park. And I'm excited because Saturday is the 100-year anniversary of historic Golden Park. And I've got some memories of this incredible ballpark that's now called Synovus Park. I'm going to preview the NFC North as this is the most balanced division in football as teams are already reported to training camp. We got the first NFL preseason game on August the 6th. Football is just around the corner. In fact, the month of August is going to be this weekend. Kids are going back to school. It's a great time to be a sports fan. And I do have a special announcement on the show. Starting August the 7th, I'm going to go to 3 days a week because on Fridays, I'm going to have my football preview show. It's going to be strictly football. It will be sometimes an audio-only version of the show. Sometimes it will be video. Just depends on just the tempo of the show and the frequent guests. I know last week, when I had Terrence Flowers on, went a little bit over the time slot. It was about an hour and 15 minutes. There's no time limit on this show. I just go as long as I possibly can. Make sure you follow me on the socials because I'm also on Instagram and TikTok, and sometimes I'll chop up reels of some of the key highlights of the show. So without further ado, let's go ahead. And by the way, also my movie review, going to review the movie Hustle. So that was something I did not drop on Wednesday's show. I usually reveal what my movie review is for the sports movie review for the following week. So I went ahead and dropped a clue last Monday that it was going to be a newer movie. So I'm going to review the movie Hustle. I think it's appropriate, especially since that was produced by Maverick Carter, LeBron James, Clutch Sports, the whole entertainment, and he just happens to focus that on the Philadelphia 76ers. All right, that's a good segue. Let's jump into the show. Let's talk about LeBron going to the Philadelphia 76ers. First reaction was, oh, he's just chasing a ring. He's going to a super team that already would have been a title contender since they got Jaylen Brown. They got Tyrese Maxey. They got 2 guys that average about 25 points a game, 3-and-D guys. Joel Embiid, when healthy, is one of the most dominant centers in the game. VJ Edgecombe, he finished 3rd in the Rookie of the Year voting. And now LeBron taking a 2-year contract worth $8 million. He is simply ring chasing because the first thing that came to my mind is, why Philly? He could have went to Miami and tried to win a ring. He could have went back to Cleveland to try to win a ring. He could have went to the Lakers and tried to win a ring with that team that the Lakers are assembling. But why Philadelphia? He doesn't have ties to Philly. The Sixers have not been to the NBA Finals since 2001. The first question that came to mind is, how is he going to get along with Nick Nurse, the head coach, who is a good coach? He led Toronto to the NBA title in 2019. But how is he going to get along with Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown? Is this going to be a good fit? Well, anything's a good fit with LeBron. He's going to be 42 years old during the start of the NBA season this year. And I know that the schedule's coming out, the fact that he's back in the East, there's a lot of Eastern Conference teams that are like, here we go again. The same scenario, kind of, when he went to Miami. And I also started to see a pattern. The Sixers also signed KCP. What does that mean? Players that like playing with LeBron, that are part of Clutch Sports, taking the league minimum because they think they can win a ring. Well, let me tell you something. If James Jones or J.R. Smith were still in the league, they would probably find a way to go to Philly. I would not be shocked if Draymond Green ends up signing a league minimum contract to go with the Philadelphia 76ers. They're not done yet. They're going to reshape their entire roster to try to build a championship for LeBron. But the key is the load management. Joel Embiid's not playing 82 games. I highly doubt LeBron is playing 82 games. I don't think he averages over 20 points this year. Even though he's playing at a high level, he's going to be more of a facilitator, coach on the floor. They already got a stacked roster. Jaylen Brown and Tyrese Maxey are top 5 players. Joel Embiid, when healthy, one of the best centers in the NBA. VJ Edgecombe, just a high up-and-coming player. Maybe LeBron plays the point because the Sixers don't really have a point guard. This could be a role where LeBron takes the facilitator role, and he can end up leading the league in assists if he wants to. LeBron James is a very smart player. This move going to Philly was strictly driven by trying to win a ring, trying to get ring number 5. And this would also be a 4 rings with 4 different teams. You want to ring 2 rings with Miami, you want a ring in Cleveland, you want a ring in LA. So you had 4 rings with 3 teams. This would be 5 rings, which he would be tied with Kobe. He'd be tied with Tim Duncan. He'd be tied with Robert Horry. So as far as his legacy, he wants to win a ring. Will he play 2 more years? Probably. He signed a 2-year deal. I don't think he's done yet. And then another question that came up, what's going to happen with Bronny James? Does he stay with the Lakers? Or do the Lakers try to find a way to trade him to the Sixers? Probably not. I think Bronny's going to find his own path, whether it's going to be on an NBA roster with the Lakers or in the G League. He's got to find his own path. I was shocked about this move because I thought LeBron was going to stay on the West Coast because his other son, Bryce James, is at the University of Arizona. I thought he wanted to play with Steph and Draymond Green. This move is strictly to try to win a ring. And this dropped on Friday. So it dropped on Friday. We had a whole weekend to think about this. I shared my opinion on the Sports Visions Morning Show this morning. I've got an opinion on this. I don't think that this move guarantees that the Sixers are going to win a championship. You know, they got the 4th best odds to win the NBA title. It's the Thunder and the Spurs that have the best odds, and they are tied at 3 with the New York Knicks. Now, this means that the Sixers will be the favorites in the Eastern Conference, in my opinion, because I think they would have been the favorites regardless if LeBron was coming anyway. It does remind me a little bit when LeBron went to the Heat in 2010 because the Heat already had a good team with Dwayne Wade. They signed Chris Bosh, and then they get another future Hall of Famer on the Miami Heat. But the reason why the Heat had so much success because they had guys like Shane Battier, Mike Miller, Ray Allen take less money, and they only got 2 titles out of it, even though LeBron promised 8. This is not a scenario where LeBron is going to say, we are going to win a championship. He's got 2 more years left, more than likely, because by the time his contract runs out, he is going to be 44 years old. That's how old Udonis Haslem was when he was in the league, but he didn't really play. How much does LeBron have left in the tank? That is the big question. And I know that with the NBA schedule coming out next month, we've got some big-time games where LeBron goes back to Cleveland, Miami, the Lakers. I think that the Sixers and the Knicks situation is going to be amazing. The Celtics. There are some incredible rivalries Like, imagine his first game in the Garden, having the Sixers taking on the Knicks or the Sixers taking on the Boston Celtics. The Eastern Conference, they had a graphic that the Eastern Conference has 11 teams that are fantastic. Remember, Tyrese Halliburton's coming back, and he is going to be playing for the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers will be back with Halliburton and Pascal Siakam. You've got Kawhi Leonard going back to Toronto. You've got the Atlanta Hawks, I think, got much more improved defensively with Lou Dort. You've got the Detroit Pistons, who won 60 games last year. They were the number 1 overall seed. Orlando with Paulo Banchero and Franz Wagner. They are going to be good next year. So the Eastern Conference, and the big wild card is, how is the Washington Wizards going to be with AD and Trae Young? And then Alex Sarr, and then AJ DeBonza. They have a pretty decent team. It's going to be a lot of fun. Charlotte, another team that is, they traded away LaMelo Ball. But, they got Concanopal. The Eastern Conference, even though I still think the Western Conference has more championship teams, I think that the Eastern Conference with LeBron and now Kyrie and Tyrese Halliburton coming back, I think that it's going to be a fascinating NBA season. And will we have 8 champions in the last 8 years? Yeah, I'm thinking there's a pretty good chance that might happen. All right, let's switch gears. Let's go from LeBron going to the NBA to Little League Baseball. Wow, if you are a baseball fan that lives in the Chattahoochee Valley and you grew up watching Little League Baseball, you remember when the Phenix City Little League team with the Rasmus brothers made it all the way to the championship in the Little League World Series. They were the American champions in 1999. And then 20 years ago, Northern Little League ended up winning the Little League World Series. And it really put Columbus on the map. At the time, I was living in Atlanta, and I was like, oh, cool. A team from Columbus won the Little League World Series. That was my first, encounter with Columbus, Georgia. And it was just a great series, beating Japan, Cody Walker with that home run. We all know, the Josh Lester, who's now in the majors, getting the final out. Kyle Carter pitched a gem. I mean, you had JT Phillips, you had Mason Myers, Brady Hamilton. I mean, that was a stacked roster. Something that came across my feed, Matt Stewart shared the moment 5 years ago when the 2021 Northern Little League team came from behind. They were down by 5 runs to Nolensville in the Southeast Regional Tournament to win that game 6-5. I remember it was August the 7th, 2021, because I was at the Chattahoochee Sunbelt Championship game against the Alpharetta Aviators, and guys like Jacob Velos and Cam Carino and players like Hudson Clark, they're all playing high school ball now. And I think that it is incredible that Northern Little League was able to do that. It really started a stretch where the District 8 winner would go on to win state. Well, this is what happened with American Little League. We know about Phenix City Little League. They won it last year. They represented Alabama. This is the first time since 2002 that a team from Phenix City is representing Alabama and a team from Columbus is representing Georgia. And it's not Northern and it's not Harris County. It's American Little League. First of all, they dominated the District 8 tournament, shutting out all the opponents, including Northern and Harris County. In the state tournament, they were able to beat Smyrna, Franklin County, Warner Robins, and Franklin County again to win the Georgia State tournament. And now the bracket is set. Both Georgia and Alabama are going to be at Warner Robins next Thursday, August the 6th. Now, Georgia is going to be taking on Florida at 1 o'clock. Alabama's taking on North Carolina at 7 o'clock. And I love this tournament. I watch it on ESPN Plus. Matt Stewart does a fantastic job as the play-by-play announcer. And my next step is to cover this. I would love to go to Warner Robins and cover this incredible tournament, especially since we got 2 local Little League teams in this tournament. We had American Little League on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live show yesterday. We're going to have Phenix City Little League on the show on Wednesday. I talked to both coaches. I know I'm excited that we've got a team from Phenix City and a team from Columbus that is in the Southeast Regional Tournament. And This is proof that Columbus is a baseball town. We've seen the accolades. We've seen the state championships in high school baseball. We saw kind of a pattern when Northern Little League ended up winning that championship in 2006. Columbus rattled off 3 straight state championships. And a lot of those players that were on that Northern Little League team 5 years ago were on teams like Pacelli. Braxton Wilkinson was on Calvary. We had Hatchell, who's on Brookstone. Gabe Galarza is playing for Northside. And Otis Stevens playing for Shaw. I mean, that team was very special. The 2022 Harris County team that was in the Southeast Regional Tournament had guys like Jacob Gilstrap, Caden Dimitri. They had a pretty good team. And then 2023, Harris County ends up winning again. And then 2024, that was the year Lake Mary ended up winning the whole Little League World Series. They're out of Florida. 2025, Cartersville ends up winning the state tournament, but Phenix City is in the tournament. And I started seeing a pattern. They usually win those first 2 games, but once they play Florida or Nashville, it's usually tough because Nashville or Tennessee usually has Nolensville, and then Florida had Lake Mary for a longest time. South Carolina actually won it last year, and the same Little League team for South Carolina is in it as well. So the bracket is set. It's a double elimination tournament that will start on August the 6th. Why don't we take a break? And when we come back, I am going to talk a little high school football. We got High School Football Media Day this Friday from Muskogee County. What I do on Mondays, I talk Georgia high school football. On Wednesdays, I talk Alabama high school football. This week, I'm talking about some of the top games for week 1. You don't want to go anywhere. It's Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge, and we'll be right back after this. And welcome back to the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Hey, how's everybody doing? It is Monday, and I know for a lot of people in the Muskogee County, Phenix City area, this is the last week of school. Now, there are some kids that have 2 weeks left of summer. This is the last week of summer, and we start school next week. Some start school 2 weeks from now, but fall sports is just around the corner. We've got high school football media days this Friday. I know that up in Troup County, they're having media days on Thursday. East Alabama's having media days this week. And it is a great time just to get acclimated to high school football. If they had a Phil Steele magazine for high school football, I would get it. I'd study it. I would do everything I can to try to get as much knowledge as possible about high school football. So on Mondays, I talk high school football in Georgia. And last week, I ranked the top 10 teams I believe are the best teams as far as doesn't matter about the classification. The only criteria was either you played in the championship or you won the championship. That was my criteria because we have 7 classifications in the state of Georgia. And on Wednesday, I will talk Alabama. They have actually technically they got 8 classifications because they did away with 7A, Central, Auburn, Opelika. They're now in 6A, but they have private A, single A, and then private single A and private double A. Those are the new classifications, of course, single A all the way up until 6A. So 8 classifications in Alabama. Going to talk about some of the top games in Alabama on Wednesday. I'm going to save that for Wednesday. But let's go ahead and just run through some of the top games for week 1. I know there's week 0. There's some GIAA schools that are playing August 14th. But technically week 1 is that week of August the 20th and 21st on that Thursday and Friday. But we do have games on Wednesday. We have the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic at the Mercedes-Benz. It's starting on Wednesday, August the 19th. Now let's just run down some of these games that I am fascinated about. Definitely want to just keep an eye on. I cover the entire state of Georgia on my podcast, and this is why I am so fascinated with high school football. I'm going to have Matt Stewart on next week, hoping to get John Nelson on, and we're just going to talk high school football. I appreciate getting Aaron Mukes on last week from WALB. He is the sports director, and I'm telling you, high school football is at an all-time high down in Southwest Georgia, and he covers that, does a fantastic job. So the first game I want to highlight, McEachern taking on Kell. The Battle of North Metro Atlanta. You got McEachern over there in Powder Springs. You got Kell over there in Marietta. I used to live up in this area. I knew how big this rivalry is. Well, this is going to be the first game that I'm highlighting. It's going to be at the Benz, and looking forward to seeing this matchup between two fantastic teams for week one. How about this matchup? We got the private champions Hebron Christian taking on Carver of Atlanta. Carver Atlanta was one of the top teams in 2A last year. I'm really excited about this matchup as well. We got the battle of two private schools. This could be the championship in the private bracket. Savannah Christian and Athens Academy. Are you kidding me? Sign me up for that. We also got Grayson taking on Sandy Creek. Grayson, one of the top teams in 7A. Sandy Creek, the defending 3A state champions. How about Toombs County? Toombs County, one of the favorites in 3A, taking on Benedictine, who's now a 5A school. That is a all-boys military private school in Savannah. They've won multiple state championships. Hapeville Charter, who was the runner-up in 2A last year, they're going to be taking on Lee County over there in Leesburg, Georgia. Wow, what a program that Lee County has. How about this? Big shout out to our friends at Middle Georgia Sports Live. I hope they feature this one. Peach County and Perry. Are you kidding me? That is going to be a great matchup. I hope that's their game of the week, because that is a great matchup down there in Perry, Georgia. Both teams have won state championships. I know Peach County went on that run in the early 2000s, but Perry ended up winning a state championship in 2023. This was a game that we talked about last week when Aaron Mukes came on the show. Colquitt County and Thomas County Central. What a game. How about this game? We got Woodward Academy out of College Park hosting Marist out of Atlanta. Another fantastic football matchup. How about a border war? And I'll talk about this game on Wednesday, because that's one of the games I'm going to feature when I do Alabama schools. Clay Chalkville, the undefeated defending 6A champions in Alabama, taking on Creekside, who was undefeated and ended up winning the state championship for 4A in Georgia. Something's got to give. They both were undefeated last year. Somebody is going to end up losing this game. North Cobb and Milton, another battle for North Metro Atlanta, and somebody that is from Ackworth, that lived in Ackworth for 8 years. I do appreciate North Cobb and those Warriors up there in Ackworth. How about Sumter County, which they are going to be in Carver's region with Worth County and Crisp County. They are taking on Dutchtown. That's going to be a great matchup. How about Carrollton and Rome? And this is going to be an incredible game. Carrollton, led by their head coach, Joey Keene. They got to the 6A state championship last year. They are going to be one of the favorites in 7A this year. And then we got Houston County taking on West Forsyth. This is going to be another one of those games in the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic. How about another border war? Pierce County, as they are one of the top teams in 2A last year. Remember, Stetson Bennett went to Pierce County. They are going to be taking on Coosa Christian, the defending 2A state champions in Alabama. I don't know if Rush Probst is still the coach. I will confirm that. But that's another border war matchup. And then locally here in Columbus, the Carver Tigers, that school on the hill, the two-time state champions, Jarvis Jones, the former defensive end from the University of Georgia, played in the NFL, coming into his second year. Can't wait to talk to him during Muskogee County Media Day. Their schedule is stacked, and they go up to Lakewood Stadium in Atlanta to take on Douglas of Atlanta. as that is going to be a road game where you really pretty much test their wills to see how do they compete with some of the best schools in the state of Georgia, because they will play Hayfield Charter. They will play Douglas County. And, of course, that showdown with Worth County later in the season, that region game. Gainesville taking on Beaufort. How is Gainesville going to be without their head coach, Josh Niblett, who is now at the University of Colorado? Beaufort not only won the state championship for 6A, they were national champions. A lot of voters thought that they were the best team, according to Max Preps, in the entire country. They're going to be taking on Gainesville, who licking their wounds after getting throttled by Thomas County Central in the 5A state championship last year. And then finally, another local team. These are two rivals. I worked up there, so I have ties to both areas. LaGrange taking on Noonan. Shout out to that Noonan area. I was on the radio station up there, WQEE, for 3 years. And, of course, LaGrange with Matt Napier. They've got a team that, they went to the semifinals 2 years ago. Malachi Fanning Render was just an absolute beast at running back. And they're going to be in a new classification in 5A, actually in the same region with Harris County. So I'm really excited to see what the LaGrange Grangers can do up I-185 in Troup County. Well, that is the top games for week one. And then, when I get to my show on Friday, I'll go over the entire local schedule, because I'm going to break down all the local games that are going to be happening week one. And that's why I'm going to start the portion of my show for high school football on August the 7th, because we do have some scrimmages. We do have some games in week 0. And then don't forget, I will talk about some of the top teams that are going to be facing off in week 1 for Alabama, and that is going to be on Wednesday. So every Monday, going to recap all the scores in Georgia. Every Wednesday, going to recap all the scores in Alabama. Trying to spread it out, trying to show the love to both states, because I love high school football in this area. I love covering it, and that is what I do. As you can see, I'm wearing a Falcon shirt. Obviously, they report to training camp tomorrow, and there'll be full pads on Wednesday. These practices are open to the public. Their first preseason game is going to be on August the 14th against Denver. All right, let's go ahead. Every episode, I preview another division, getting ready for the upcoming football season. And this time I'm going to preview the NFC North. This was the most balanced division in all of football last year. No question about it. And you had the Chicago Bears that won the division last year. I'm not going to say it was a disappointing loss to the Rams. They got over the hump. They beat Green Bay in the playoffs. Lost to the Rams in overtime, but Caleb Williams was fantastic. 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. They go from 5-12 to 11-6, and coaching matters. The coach combo of Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams was fantastic, and that's why I think the Bears are going to be a contender, that they could end up winning this division again, even though they lost DJ Moore. I mean, they lost several pieces on their team. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the depth chart, because, you had Green Bay that finished 9-7-1. I know they got tied the Dallas Cowboys last year. Remember, they got Micah Parsons to get them to the Super Bowl. That's the whole reason why they brought Micah Parsons over, because Micah Parsons was supposed to put them over the top. Still have pretty much the same team coming back. Romeo Dobbs is not there anymore, but Tucker Kraft comes back from injury. I'm sorry to say, but Matt LaFleur's on the hot seat. I mean, the expectations for the Green Bay Packers is they've been spoiled, from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to now Jordan Love, that the expectations is they get to a Super Bowl because they've got the quarterback right. But Matt LaFleur, I think that a little bit of an upgrade. Jonathan Gannon is now the defensive coordinator. But the key is, can Micah Parsons come back from that injury? He is going to be on the PUP list. I don't know when he is going to be available. But remember, Micah Parsons, get this stat. He had 12 and a half sacks in 14 games. That was incredible. With 3 more games to go, he probably would have had 17 or 18 sacks. But I do think that coming back from injury, Tucker Kraft, who only played in 8 games last year. Detroit had a little bit of a down year, and that was expected because the offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, was no longer there, but they still have one of the best offensive lines in football. They have the most efficient quarterback in Jared Goff, but there's question marks on the defense. Will they finish 9-8 again? I mean, and then the Vikings, they won 5 straight last year to finish the season 9-8. Now, I'm not knocking J.J. McCarthy, but they got a new quarterback. They got Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray's going to be battling with J.J. McCarthy. And I do think they have the best receiving core in football, with Juwan Jennings now added to the mix, along with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. Their trio of receivers is the best in football. I believe that. And so this is why the NFC North is the most balanced division in football. This is going to be a lot of fun. I don't really know who is going to be a clear-cut winner in this division. They might end up beating each other up, where the winner of this division goes 10-7. And you could have, I don't think all 4 teams are going to finish 9-8, but you could end up having a team that finishes 8-9 in last place. We're going to start with the Chicago Bears, because the Bears did lose DJ Moore, but they upgraded that offensive line, getting Garrett Bradbury. I still think that the tight ends, Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet, are pretty good. And then they got DeAndre Swift, but Caleb Williams, he's the best Bears quarterback they've had since Sid Luckman. And I'm going way back to when they won the Super Bowl in 1985 with Jim McMahon. That defense obviously carried that team. Caleb Williams is something special, and I'm buying in. I hope that Caleb Williams embraces his superstar role in Chicago. And yes, jersey sales, him as a star. And the Bears finally got their quarterback right. They drafted Justin Fields in the first round. They drafted Mitchell Trubisky in the first round. Rex Grossman led them to a Super Bowl, but they couldn't get the quarterback right for some reason. Jay Cutler had a pretty good run with Chicago. Caleb Williams is the guy. And I know you want to think, well, it's just a flash in the pants. He's a one-hit wonder. Look at his numbers, 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. You name me a Bears quarterback that was that efficient. It's been a long time since we had a Bears quarterback this efficient. And I love Ben Johnson as a play caller, as a coach. This coach-player combo is something special, and I think Caleb Williams is going to win a lot of football games for the Chicago Bears. Let's move on to Green Bay, because Jordan Love, I think that he is what he is. He is an efficient quarterback, but he needs all the pieces around him to be successful. Got a pretty good offensive line. Losing Romeo Doubs is going to hurt just a little bit, but they still has young receivers, Matthew Golden, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, pretty good receivers. Tucker Kraft coming back. That is going to be huge. Javon Hargrave comes over from Minnesota. Zaire Franklin comes over from Indianapolis. I think that Micah Parsons, that is going to be the key. Can Micah Parsons come back from that injury? Otherwise, the Packers are going to be right there in the mix. Minnesota, I think that drafting Caleb Banks, they've got Dallas Turner, a very good edge rusher, James Pierre. They've got, and I'm a firm believer in Brian Flores, that the defense in Minnesota is going to be fine. But I'm telling you what, getting Kyler Murray, a little bit of an upgrade from J.J. McCarthy, but I think these two players are going to battle it out for the starting job. And I don't understand, like, people don't realize how valuable Juwan Jennings is. Third and Juwan, kind of miss him in San Francisco. He is going to make an impact for Minnesota as a third down receiver, a slot receiver, as they have the best receiving core in all of football with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and Juwan Jennings. And then finally, the Detroit Lions, which I don't think they go 9-8. I think Detroit is the weakest team in this division, even though they have one of the best offensive linemen in football. And they have a nice receiving core with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams. Jared Goff is a very consistent quarterback. They did get Isaiah Pacheco from the Kansas City Chiefs to be that backup to Jahmyr Gibbs. And Sam Laporta, the tight end coming back from injury, I think their offense is going to be fine. Cade Mays comes over from Carolina. Ben Barch comes over from the 49ers. So a little bit of an upgrade on that offensive line. Penei Sewell is one of the best offensive linemen in all of football. But the defense, Aiden Hutchinson is still there, but you lose play. Brian Branch is not going to be back. Terry and Arnold got released. They've got some pieces that have fallen off over the last couple years. Detroit's defense is not the same as it was. Detroit had a great problem to have. Aaron Glenn, fantastic defensive coordinator, and Ben Johnson, fantastic offensive coordinator. You lose two coordinators, and you see a little bit of slippage, and I think the Detroit Lions, still a decent team, but I just don't know if they're going to end up winning this division. They could end up finishing as low as 7-10, 8-9. They're not terrible. No team in this division is terrible. But that is my preview for the NFC North. On Wednesday, I'm previewing the AFC North. And then next week, we wrap up the division previews with, let's see, what division have I not done yet? That's right, the East. So we got the NFC East and the AFC East next week. All right, let's take another break. And we come back, going to talk local sports, Braves, Clean Stones, and then the moment you all been waiting for, my sports movie review. You don't want to go anywhere. It's Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Back after this. Welcome back to the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Don't forget, every Monday and Wednesday night at 5 o'clock, you can catch new episodes. I'm so glad to be here. I'm excited. I got Michael Long Jr. coming on the show on Wednesday. I'm really excited about that. Before I get into the local sports and have my sports movie review, there is something that I got to get off my chest. This has happened way too many times, and I'm trying to figure out what is going on. ESPN layoffs. Oh, my goodness. We've had several big-time sports personalities at ESPN that have been let go. Ryan Clark. You've had Carl Ravitch, who's been there doing Baseball Tonight for over 30 years. Cam Newton was a big-time personality. You had David Lloyd, who was a Sports Center anchor. I've seen this too many times with ESPN. They try to save face, try to save money. They did this when they had like big time contracts for the NBA, but Disney is the parent company and they are going to have the Super Bowl next year. So they got to save money. Budget cuts, right? Some of these personalities are going to be fine. They got their own brand. That's why in the streaming world and in the podcasting world, you don't need to be at Fox Sports or ESPN or CBS Sports. You can create your own brand and be just fine. What I didn't like is when they let go guys like Steve Young and Susie Colbert and David Pollack, and just that wave of people that got let go a couple years ago. And then before that, they had a bunch of people that got let go. And I don't like it, but I'll never talk bad about ESPN, even though I may not agree with how they do business. ESPN is still a great network that has great programming. And I'm saying that because one day I would love to call games for ESPN Plus. And so even though people who are announcers for ESPN Plus are not technically ESPN employees, you still don't want to burn bridges. You still want to talk good about the worldwide leader in sports. But sometimes I scratch my head trying to figure out, why do they end up laying off so many people all at once? And it does get a lot of media attention because they're laying off really great announcers. And there are some announcers that are still with the network that's wondering why they didn't get laid off. But hey, it is what it is. Hey, the Clean Stones. Well, They lost 5 out of 6 against the Pensacola Blue Wahoos over the week. They even had a rain out, had a doubleheader on that Thursday. They were all close games. I mean, lost 3-1, 4-3, 1-0. They lost 2-0 and 4-2 yesterday to go to 14-13. They're currently 3 games back in the Southern League South Division. And let's get ready for a 12-game homestand. Not really. It's two back-to-back 6-game homestands with a Monday off. But they're taking on the Rocket City Trash Pandas for 6 games and then taking on the Biloxi Shuckers for 6 games. Some of the key highlights this Saturday, we've got the 100-year anniversary of the celebration of historic Golden Park. They're going to have a replica stadium of Synovus Park that they are giving away. Next week, we got the Chuck Williams bobblehead giveaway. That's going to be pretty cool. Longtime news anchor and rabid fan of the Clean Stones, Chuck Williams, as him, Ricky Rogers, all in that section, the Bleacher Creatures, as they are called. Big shout out to them. I'm excited because I get to be a part of this incredible performance on Saturday, the 100-year anniversary, because Golden Park, even though I came on to the scene late, I've only lived in Columbus for 12 years. My memories of Golden Park are a lot more recent. 2023 comes to mind when I got to call on the radio and on YouTube for the Columbus Chattahoots and the Chattahoochee Monsters. And even though those teams don't exist anymore, they paved the way to bring minor league baseball back to the city, which has not been here since 2008. Year 2 for the Columbus Clean Stones has been a huge success. Synovus Park is absolutely fantastic. In fact, I'm actually going to a couple of games in the next couple of weeks. Going to be sitting down the first base or the third base line, eating those all-you-can-eat seats. I'm going to have such a great time, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a wonderful time just to enjoy watching a baseball game with my family. All right, my sports movie review. This is a very popular segment. It's popular by me. I love doing this. I could have gone in either direction. By the way, it's not part of my sports movie review, but I'm going to review it eventually. Rookie of the Year. They paid homage to Henry Rowengartner over the weekend. The Savannah Bananas were at Wrigley Field. That was absolutely awesome. I was so tempted to do the movie review for Rookie of the Year, but I'm committed. Even though I did not reveal it on Wednesday's show, I am committed to doing my sports movie review, which I've already done. Let's see what I've done. Facing the Giants. I've done Kicking and Screaming. I've done Above the Rim. I've done The Scout. I've done D2, The Mighty Ducks. Now, a little bit newer movie, which was on Netflix, starring Adam Sandler, starring a bunch of other famous basketball players, a bunch of cameos. It's called Hustle. Adam Sandler plays a scout. So it's got a little bit of the scout in it. It's got a little bit of Horrible Bosses in it, like kind of the movie plots. The owner that loves Adam Sandler, that is going to give him a coaching position, unfortunately, tragically passes away. And his son, kind of see some parallels with Dr. Buss and Jim Buss. I'm just kidding. I'm not taking a shot at Jim Buss. But his son, just not as passionate as the dad. And he ends up sending Adam Sandler on the road because they whiffed on one of the draft picks. So Adam Sandler ends up going to Spain and finding a diamond in the rough, a unicorn, an all-around great basketball player named Bo Cruz, the Cruz Missile, played by NBA player Juanacho Hernan Gomez. And he's not in the league anymore, but he did a great job as acting. A lot of these basketball players that were in this movie were actors. Anthony Edwards played Kermit Wiltz. He was really the antagonist, and he did a fantastic job in this movie. This was a movie I enjoyed. It's hard to like review like a good Adam Sandler movie because he usually these movies that Adam Sandler does, including Happy Gilmore too, they're all Happy Madison productions. They usually get a Rotten Tomatoes score of less than 20. He brings his buddies, including Shaq and Dan Patrick. This wasn't the case. This was directed and produced by Clutch Sports, Maverick Carter, produced by LeBron James. I don't know if this is the reason why LeBron chose to go to the Philadelphia 76ers, but the Sixers are the team that they focus on. And Adam Sandler is a scout who loves basketball. His best friend was played by Kenny Smith, that you've seen on NBA Showtime. And, he plays a fictional version of himself, not Kenny Smith, the basketball player, but he plays a fictional version. Urkel's in it? Yeah, no. Jaleel White is in it. I mean, when was the last time you saw Jaleel White in a movie? I want to say, look, the son of the movie, because Robert Duvall plays the owner in the movie, and you have the son played by Ben Foster. So he's been around. He was a child actor in the early 2000s. Let's see, the sisters played by Heidi Gardner, and she's like on Adam Sandler's side. He quits because he brings Bo Cruz to the States on his own dime, and he couldn't figure out a way. This Kermit Wiltz, played by Anthony Edwards, is getting in his head, but it's a good movie. It's a little bit newer. Got a 96 on Rotten Tomatoes, but I believe, is that the best Adam Sandler movie of all time? That he got a 96 on Rotten Tomatoes? I definitely have to look that one up. But yeah, it's a fun movie. I've seen it many times. I got a Netflix account. It's one of those movies where I've watched on Netflix, I don't know, at least 5 times. But it's a good NBA movie with a lot, and I mean a lot, of NBA cameos. A bunch of them, including Trae Young when he was on the Hawks. Wow, what a show. Hey, this show's in the books. Don't forget, Wednesday's show, I'm going to have a guest, is Michael Long Jr., my former broadcasting colleague and current middle school coach of football at Russell County. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Got to sign off now. Make sure you follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm also found on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for watching. Have a great night, everybody. We will see you Wednesday.
Thank you for watching the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. You can catch new episodes on Facebook and YouTube every Monday and Wednesday night at 5 p.m. The Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge is a local podcast that covers sports in Columbus, Georgia.